Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. And I want to thank Matt for filling in for me yesterday. I was down and out for the count, and I'm back and better than ever today. And so I have got a wonderful guest that I just couldn't miss having the opportunity to talk to. She's 20 years old, and she's from Ontario, Canada. And she went from 3 jobs to now having more freedom and balance doing this. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, you're so welcome. Did I get all your details right?
Yes.
Cool. So let's jump right in. How did you find us, and were you actually looking for something when you did find us?
So I was not looking for something at all. I actually found you guys about a year ago, just through TikTok. I found a girl talking about the program,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of looked into it then, but I wasn't really. It wasn't really for me. I kind of blew past it a little bit, and then I recently moved actually from Ontario. I moved across the country to go to school.
Yeah.
And that kind of fell through. So I kind of came back and looked back at the program, and that's kind of where I started. So
Wow. So
yeah.
you had something, you had some school that fell through, and
Mhm.
so that was what brought you back. How did you I mean, was there something initially that stuck with you? Because I mean,
Uh,
that just seems like with so much information, what stuck out to you that brought you back here instead of somewhere else? I'm just curious about that.
yeah. So I did not want to go back to a job where I was working for someone else. I just work better on my own and listening to myself and not really anyone else. So I liked having that aspect of it as I can work my own hours, do my own thing, come and go,
Yeah.
yeah.
Had you ever tried anything else or even researched anything else online before?
No, this is my first shot at it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So what if you were to just, generally react to how it's gone so far, how would you describe that?
Um, I I don't even know. It just kind of happened quickly. And I was very surprised in a way that it kind of happened because I'm just a regular gal. I didn't really go into it with too much expectation
Mhm.
for the first few months, anyways.
Yeah. Well, what has happened? I guess let's talk about that a little bit. What's how when did you start the challenge, and then when did you actually start kind of marketing?
So I started the challenge, I believe, like the middle to end of October
Okay.
of this, and then I jumped into it right away.
Okay.
Um, I had a lot of free time just because I moved for school, and then I didn't go to school, so I
Yeah.
um I had a lot of free time to get this done and started and rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, I see that you have taken our challenge, you enrolled in our blueprint. So, I mean, you obviously also believe in, even though you didn't pursue or the education opportunity fell through, you still kind of are educating yourself just in a little bit of a non-traditional way. Would you agree?
Yes, yes, a very different way than what I even expected.
Yeah. So what has happened since you got started? Walk us through kind of some of the milestones.
Yeah, so I kind of blew up a little bit on TikTok. I was posting consistently, daily, a few times a day, and that was kind of my first big milestone for me, anyways. And then
Was
my
just to start posting, right?
yeah,
I know you said you blew up, but I wanna did you say that just posting was kind of a first milestone?
yeah,
I totally agree with that. Thank you for saying that. It's such a big deal just to accomplish those first few, make my business live. It's kind of like your business, nobody knows about it. Just imagine if you opened a brick and mortar store, say it was a bakery, but then you never put any signs up on the store and you never had like a grand opening and then you never opened your doors. It's like,
exactly.
so publishing your first piece of marketing content on the internet is kind of like that grand opening. So amazing. That is a great first milestone.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty surreal. And then yeah, kind of after that, I had a ton of messages and follow-ups, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, the whole thing was just kind of just very surreal. I wasn't really expecting anything, and then yeah, I got messages and inquiries, and a bunch of people checked out, my funnel, and it just kind of started off from there. So it,
Are you glad that as a young person, or I mean, regardless of what your age is, but I would just imagine that there's so many 20-year-olds out there and people who are, people who are in college and so forth that are posting and probably making some pretty good content, but don't have the marketing pieces set up and don't really know what they're doing to monetize their content. How does it feel to know that you've got this thing set up in a way that it's not just a hobby, it's not just kind of playing around on social media like so many other people are doing, but you have the components set up on your, this is a business for you. It's not just kind of playing around on social media. I mean, how does that feel for it to be, for you to have turned something that is typically just a time wasting, time sucking entertainment machine,
Mhm.
that you've kind of turned it as a 20-year-old person who was going to be in college right now, was working 3 jobs. You've turned this social media thing into a business because you took the time to learn how to do it. Like, how does that feel?
It feels really good. It's kind of crazy because a bunch of my friends are obviously the same age as me, and everyone goes like their, separate ways and different paths. But
Yeah.
it's, watch how they kind of interpret things, and then how I deal with things, and
Mhm.
um, how I look at social media and how they look at social media. It's kind of just different because they don't really have the same mindset and the same knowledge that I've learned
Mhm.
to pursue the internet kind of world.
So what did you learn about the first time your videos started to kind of really pick up? And have you been able to find any sort of a pattern or a formula to, creating content in a style that works for you, that also your audience loves? Like, what are a few of your kind of tricks to your personal trade besides all the things that we teach in Legendary that's available to everybody? You've got funnel pieces set up. I'm sure you went through initial training to learn kind of how the basics of creating good content is. But what are some of the secrets to your kind of personal touch? Like, what have you found that works for you?
um, Really something that kind of engages them or catches their eye. I like to obviously use trending sounds just because that, usually catches people's eyes also, or their ears. Um, Hashtags. I typically use the same hashtags, and I just kind of go from there, as well as like my captions. I always direct them somewhere,
Mm.
or if it's either to the comments or to my Instagram, or to the link, in my bio. But yeah, I've kind of just been doing that from day one, and it's worked so far.
Did you immediately start talking on videos, or have you primarily just been using sounds and text on screen without you verbally talking?
Yeah, so I just started out with only using sounds and the text on screen. It took me a little bit to kind of go on camera and speak.
Yeah, how long? How I'm actually curious.
A few weeks. I would say almost about a month.
Wow, okay.
To, I was still trying to figure a few things out, and once I kind of got that under wraps, I did my first like verbal video, and
Mhm,
then just did use the same hashtags, directed them to the comments, or
mhm,
my Instagram or something, and it still turned out pretty good. I think people like to hear you talk and
mhm.
you in person, instead of, you know, uh, over text or sounds or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got a training in the blueprints with Andrea from Peru, the six figures without talking on TikTok. And
Yeah.
did you see that?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who are wondering, how can I get more specifics? If you have the blueprints, there is a training, a bonus that we gave. Uh, it may be it may be in Traffic University. Can't remember where exactly it's located. We can find out. Joanne or somebody who's on, would you post in the marketing channel just so I could be clear about exactly where I'm sending people? I don't want to give people the wrong, but that was the reason why I brought her up, was because, she came and she spoke at our last mastermind. And here's this, this very unassuming woman who, if she's not, loud or boisterous or anything. As a matter of fact, I started to learn she's not even been talking in her videos. So whatever the case may be, she's literally, and then I started to dig in more and listen to her presentation, and she had gotten something like 200 million views or some obscene amount of views across all her videos, and not never, but rarely talked in her videos in the same way that you described.
Yeah,
So it's powerful, these platforms, the way you can kind of mix up your content. It doesn't have to all be just talking direct to camera. You can still get your point across in other ways. And I think that's really cool. And it's never been simpler for somebody to get started, to just start testing content. That's why it's so important to begin publishing, because even if you're not talking right away or whatever, just getting used to hitting post and in getting it out there, and not just drafting everything or not just canceling everything as if it's not good enough, but getting it out there. And then, like you did, over a month or so, you built up your whatever you needed to build up. It doesn't matter. For each person, it's fine. And it doesn't matter. It's just your process. That was what your process looked like. And then you finally started talking, and it created a nice balance of content for people to both, for them also to get to know you. Would you agree? Or what did happen? How did your audience start reacting when you did start kind of making yourself more known in your videos and kind of, using your own voice?
um, they I felt like they were more engaged kind of in the content or comments, asking a ton of questions, just overall more engaged and more interactive, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really do a ton of like voice videos. I do
Still.
here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find them very interactive.
So are you going live right now, or no going live?
No.
Yeah. See, and that that's a great example of that one size does not fit all. Because a lot of people go live on a regular basis, and that's just kind of their lane. I mean, look at me and look at this show. I mean, this has kind of become a lane that I've just regularly created content consistently day after day, just in this live format. And there's other affiliate marketers and, different freelancers out there who are selling courses or selling coaching, and they're going live on a regular basis. But it's not a requirement, and it's especially not a requirement for somebody who's brand new, and you are clearly taking steps
Yeah.
in that direction. If you, right? I mean, if you eventually want to go live, I can see that in your future, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So what else is what else have you would you say has been something that's really worked for you? Is there anything else in terms of engagement, in terms of your funnel, in terms of just anything else that has been like, wow, this works for me, or this is not maybe particularly what other people are doing, but this is what's been working for me. I just want to talk about owning your own kind of business plan,
Right. Um, I don't
even
know.
if it comes to your time, scheduling and stuff like that. Just I want to learn about your process, so others can copy it if they want, but also hopefully to give them permission to be okay in their process, knowing that every person's doesn't have to look the same.
Right. Yeah. So um, I usually also post on Instagram. I just take my TikTok videos and
Hmm.
transfer and post, use the same caption, maybe a few different hashtags, and I post that. I get a few hundred views on Instagram. It's not my main platform,
Yeah.
but I kind of tend to post there once a day. TikTok, I post kind of sporadically throughout the day. I don't really have time set. I usually in the morning I'll post once or twice, and then in the afternoon I'll post once, and then I
Yeah.
kind of leave it at that, and respond back to people. I like to talk to them and get to know them a bit before I send them over to my link.
Oh, you will converse back and forth in DMs on TikTok with people?
Yeah, sometimes. Mostly it's on Instagram. When I go there, I will start up a conversation and talk to them a bit back.
Okay, so on TikTok, you're sending them directly into your funnel and
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're promoting right from your link. But if they go to Instagram, that's where you're getting more conversational.
Yeah, yeah,
I got you. I got
yeah.
you. And I mean, do you think that people have more of a tendency to reach out in DM on TikTok or Instagram?
Uh, Instagram. I find a lot of people who are really like interested, or even just want a little bit of information. They go to my Instagram and get that information instead of seeing just a video on TikTok kind of thing. So I usually, I'll ask a few questions, and usually I typically get a response back because I know some people are just there to, um, you know, right away get the information and then just kind of brush it off a little bit. But I tend to get a ton of responses back and engagement over there too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how, there's not any one way that people act on social media, like on each platform, but they do have more of a tendency to behave in certain ways. And just heard from so many people that people are more conversational on Instagram. My experience, and this is what you would think would be true, is TikTok. They're just kind of the span is so short. Do you feel people are more engaged on TikTok than they are on Instagram?
Mm, with like likes and comments, I would say they're more engaged on TikTok rather than Instagram.
Mm,
Uh, with Instagram, I'm getting more DMs than I
yeah.
would.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So people are more likely to reach out to you privately, where they're more likely to kind of leave a public comment on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting. I wonder if some of that is just like how easy it is to comment. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just about the convenience of of how to comment.
Mhm.
Like how the user interface, they call it the UI, like how easy it is for somebody. And I think if I remember correctly, that there's a comment. It's just all about the interface. I mean, if you just pull up TikTok, you can just kind of look at it and just see, kind of how the interface is just a little bit different than, yeah. So, I mean, you can comment like it's got a little box like right there for you to comment, right?
Right.
So they make it really easy for you to
Mhm.
leave a comment. I think Instagram's implemented some of that, but these guys with TikTok, they've just made the app. They just continue to make it just so easy to use.
Yeah, yeah, very.
It's it's nuts. I mean, I know I sound like a grandpa every day and there's nothing wrong with grandpas, by the way. I love grandpas. But I'm like, back in when I started in 2009, we didn't have anything like this, but I really feel like that every day. I'm like, holy shit, it's just so different now. And it's so I can't really say the word easy because then people will be like, Dave's over there saying that it's easy and you're gonna guaranteed make money. And I'm never not saying that. I'm just saying that it's just my mind is blown by the tools that we have at our fingertips to be able to build a business. And I believe it's only going to get, these apps, these companies are only going to make it more accessible. I think that's a better word to use than like easy or hard, because the truth is everything's hard. Like to do it on a consistent, ongoing basis. Like anything's easy to just pop a video up or just leave a comment, but everything's hard. But it's way more accessible for the everyday person to just get on. And like, for example, what I mean is like the ability to be able to edit videos. That was really something that honestly, even just a couple of years ago, if you wanted to lay text and lay audio, like you had to take that file into a different software program and do that. And now we can just do it all on an app really quickly.
Yeah.
It's nuts, and the videos actually look good, and people love watching them. I mean, that's what. Just think about it. If TikTok didn't make it that easy to edit a video and turn something that probably would have been not as entertaining alone by itself and put all these elements together, it's almost like this perfect storm. And that's why I like get on here and rant and rave every day, because I'm like, they're making it so accessible for us all. Come on, wake up. That's
Yeah, it's pretty easy well, not easy, but it's pretty, like you said, accessible to get rolling and get on the ball. And there's tons of like tutorials or you know, helpful videos out there, even if you're stuck. If you don't know how to do
yeah,
one, always a video
yeah,
out to help you.
yeah. Well, Jennifer says what's hard is the amount of apps out there to utilize, and it can be overwhelming knowing which is best to use, which is why one of the main reasons I can't wait to get started with the blueprints in January. And I can't wait to have you as a student in the blueprints, because what you're going to find, learning here at Legendary is that we're not about shiny things that are, if a unique tool comes out and we think it's got marketing chops and it's really going to help you, like the GPT thing tutorial that Matt did last Wednesday, like that machine learning slash piece of artificial intelligence, I guess is kind of what it is. But like he did a tutorial on that last Wednesday. Go check that out if you want to see like a cool tool that we think is actually worth our attention. But there's 100,000 other things that come out that you see that we don't get shiny about. We don't get distracted about, because the truth is that like there's a million things to obsess about. There's a million things to go and potentially try, do a free trial, but all of that at the end of the day is mostly just a waste of time, because the simpler you keep your business, the simpler you keep your content, the simpler you keep your funnel, the simpler you keep everything, the better. And sometimes we just get kind of seduced by all of this stuff. And you're absolutely right, Jennifer. There is so many different apps, and there's a new 15 or 20 coming out every day. Sarah, how do you avoid this shiny object syndrome that we're talking about and just stay focused on the things that are, I call, income producing activities or income producing apps, or how do you stay focused on the tools that you need instead of the tools that look that some, that look as if they're, or have you struggled with that? And I do too. I'm just asking, what are some of your strategies that you use to remain focused? Because you have to be focused to have picked up the momentum that you have. I mean, you came in, you went through the challenge, you enrolled in the blueprints. I mentioned one training, which by the way, that that 6 figures on TikTok without talking by Andrea from Peru is in the business blueprints. It's a case study in the TikTok funnel section. I mean, I randomly mentioned that. You're like, yeah, that was great. So it's clear that you've also done your due diligence and your research and your learning. But in order to have progressed, you've had to stay somewhat focused. That's just something that has to come with that. You can't be all over the place. So what has been some of the things that have And I taught my daughter this morning, or we were watching a show together, and they had a horse with blinders, and they talked about blinders. And I said, "Hey, my dad used to say that to me when I was little. He'd say, 'Son, keep the blinders on. Put the blinders on,' because I'm ADD as hell and I'm all over the place. So he'd say, 'Son, keep the blind.'" So how have you been able to stay focused? And as my dad used to say, keep the blinders on.
Right. Well, there's definitely been a few days where I've kind of got off track, but I always, just stick to what I know and what I feel most comfortable with. I get a lot of, questions about where to start or where do you post or, like what platform to post on. And I always say like just the one that you feel the most comfortable on, and then you can expand that and, go farther once you've kind of figured out what you're doing. So I
Mm,
always just go back to where I started with, and just go back to what's worked for me, and that's just kind of what I stick with. I don't really um, go out and explore too much.
mm.
There's a few days I get a little sidetracked, but I
Yeah.
I kind
And
of
clearly you've got the entrepreneur spirit, so that's normal, right?
yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
kind yeah, just go back to what I started with and just try and focus in on that a little bit more. And yeah.
Yeah. W it's such it's such a cool thing to see, somebody come in and, begin this same process that I began back in 2009. And uh, I just I didn't realize how, like, critical and crucial of a time it was in my life, that I was literally choosing a completely different path, and that while it felt like I was blazing a brand new trail and I was doing something crazy, I really was doing something that was proven by a lot of people before me. And I actually also talk about that in the blueprints. I talk about that in the first section. I talk about standing on the shoulders of giants. I talk about the history of the industry. I talk about kind of what people have been, how people have been using these strategies in very archaic, forms when they were initially, we had to sell courses or books or whatever, copywriters and marketers had to mail letters. Everything was done by direct mail. And if you wanted to buy the book, you would have to read the sales letter there in your chair. Hopefully your wife or kids or your husband didn't throw out the mail. And then if you were sold by the sales letter, as you're sitting there, whatever, having a glass of wine or drinking, smoking your pipe or whatever, yeah, I want this book. I want to, learn how to do whatever, right? Train my pet, get my kid to sleep through the night, whatever it was. Um, you'd have to write a check or whatever and mail it back in. You know what I mean? There wasn't like some website, and that was the beginning. So your copy, your ads really had to be on point. These skills, the skill of copywriting and the skill of persuasion, writing specifically persuasively, had to really be the most on point skill. I mean, that was the skill, was writing, copywriting specifically. So, I remember when I first got started, and I felt like it was, and of course, everybody around me thought I was crazy for doing something. But I realized this is a real industry. I mean, copywriting, digital marketing, publishing. We call it freelance digital marketing because it encompasses a lot of these skills and a few business models. But are you opened up, mentally, and in terms of your I guess, vision for the future, realizing that there's a real industry here, that there's so many different I mean, you could continue to do affiliate marketing for the rest of your life and only that. It's a viable career. And there's a whole industry that you could get into, publishing your own courses, doing your own coaching, hosting your own events, even just virtually. Um, and that includes writing books and so forth like that. But how does that feel to be standing, and what is your feeling about this industry? Like, do you feel like the way that we're doing education here is the future? Because you are a current college, you were supposed to be in college right now, and that thing fell through for whatever reason. So do you think that this is the future? And like, do you
I
know what I'm asking?
definitely feel like it is just because the way the internet is going and everything's kind of transitioning over to the internet and that whole space. I definitely think this is going to be here for a very long time. And I think a lot of people are going to start, hearing about it a bit more and maybe getting into it more just because, everyone kind of wants to work from home and work online and be able to do it from anywhere, right? So I
What's
definitely,
the vibe in college, like amongst college kids? Are they also college adults, college young adults? Are they also realizing that there's not just one size fits all?
mhm.
Are they also looking at side hustles and digital marketing stuff? And what's the vibe amongst people your age?
Yeah, so there's not really too many people kind of like that or thinking like that. Like from me personally, like I don't know anyone who,
Really?
looked into this or thought of, oh, maybe the online thing is, going to be successful for me. I do get a few messages. People are in college, they're just looking for an extra side hustle to start, and
Yeah.
that. But like me personally, I don't know anyone who has looked into this or thought of this. I just know me. So,
You know what that tells me? There's a
hmm
there's a big blue ocean.
hmm
There's a
yeah.
there's a big blue ocean. I mean, because what's proven to be for the last 10 years for me is that this style of marketing and this style of delivering the service or product or, the education that you're selling is so proven. It's never changed, and it was being done before I started. And
Mhm.
so this style of learning be online and not needed to be an accredited university, right? That's kind of the big thing, because by regular people being allowed to do the teaching, when I say regular people, I just mean somebody not in an official setting like a university or a public school or a private school, but for the regular folks who have the expertise in a specific skill to be teaching other people in a less organized format
Mhm.
is how people want to learn. And they've already proven that by the way that they watch YouTube videos, by the way that they enroll in courses, by the way that they take courses on places like, a lot of these platforms that already have courses, that already have education. Again, YouTube being the biggest one, right? That people go to for how to stuff. But it's this is a what I think a lot of people don't realize about social media is that all these platforms in the near future are all competing for all of us to create content on their platforms.
Mhm.
So it's like this massive competition. They want us, you and me, creating content on their platform. The
Yeah.
reason why TikTok's such a problem is because we've all kind of been going there to create content, then we're just repurposing onto these other platforms, right?
Yeah.
So they're all trying to figure out, how do we pay them? How do we help them get more of an audience? Because that's what TikTok did, right? TikTok allowed people for the very first time to build an audience who had previously had been very hard to do, because you could only market to the people who, quote unquote, you were friends with, right?
Right.
Or who followed you, right? So, all these other platforms right now are scrambling to try to figure out how can they help people like you and me make
Mhm.
more money by either paying us like YouTube does. YouTube pays people part of the advertising revenue if they get a lot of views on their channel. They'll pay you. If you don't know that, I think it's called AdSense. I don't know what the latest name is, but it's a form of profit sharing on YouTube. And you don't have to do anything. I mean, you just have to post content, and as your views jump up, you can turn on monetization, which means that they'll begin running those ads at the beginning of the video that somebody can skip if they want to, but that's how YouTube pays it. And that's why YouTube's a great platform for a lot of content creators up until this point, because is all you had to do is just post and build your channel up to get a lot of views and
Right.
then turn on that monetization. So, but your content had to be really good, like on YouTube, long form. You had to be talking. So it was difficult for the average person to get started because you had to talk a lot from day one.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so now TikTok over the last couple of years made it a lot easier for the regular person to build an audience. And also, we found out that people on TikTok actually buy a lot. It's not just a bunch of kids doing dances, which was the big mistake that marketers made. That
Right.
was the big mistake 2.5 years ago, that all these gurus, they were like, I'm not getting on TikTok. The guru. Never trust a guru, people. If the guru is the center of all knowledge in the community, if the guru wants to be everybody's coach or mentor, and the way that the guru lives his life is the way that everybody should, oh, the guru, what's your morning routine? Oh, I get up and I meditate for, I get up at 5 a.m. and I meditate. Look, that's there's that's bullshit, right? Because what works for you is not particularly going to work for me, right? And a lot of times people who are so caught up in their own guru-ness miss huge opportunities, like what TikTok was and became a couple of years ago for everybody. Now it's still an amazing opportunity. And there's still a lot of gurus who are like, I'm not getting on there, you know? But the
Yeah.
truth is that that platform really changed the game for a lot of marketers, because not only did it give us an opportunity, those of us who had never been able to build an audience before, to build an audience for the first time, and it also made all these other social media platforms wake up.
Yeah.
And now they're fighting to get us all of us content creators back on. So for any of you who think that this game is saturated, that this is some, flash in the pan, just keep watching, right? Because if you don't want to get in the game, just keep watching, because you're going to see this continue to snowball in the same way that it has for the past several years. And I mean specifically the way that the average person is going to be able to build an audience and get paid from just knowing how to use social media.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Hmm.
So take it for what you want. The 208 who are listening to it live, and the many more who will listen to this recording, but that's my prediction. What do you think? What do you predict for your business, or what goals have you set for yourself in 2023? And you don't have to impress me with anything. I just wonder kind of what you don't have to say something. If you haven't thought of goals, I don't care. I'm just, what is your vision for 2023? I mean, what do you kind of see happening? And then we'll bring things in for a landing here.
Yeah, I'm really hoping just to kind of move over and grow my Instagram account. I'm kind of really wanting to shift over there a little bit more. And yeah, just grow that. That's kind of my only thing I've thought of right now. So
And that's wonderful. It's simple. And I love that, because if you can focus on one thing and actually win with
yeah.
that, it builds so much confidence, doesn't it?
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Very much.
Yeah. Well, hey, I am like really just so happy for you. And just thinking that, you should just be incredibly proud of yourself for, this accomplishment. And what would you like to leave people who may, be feeling the same way that that you were when you first got started, or maybe not initially jumping in, right? Because
Yeah.
and that's okay. Maybe they're coming back. But what would you say to those people if they have stepped away?
Um, Definitely I'll try and get back in the game. I was nervous when I first started and I didn't know anything. So I, just stick to it, research, go back through the challenge or the blueprints. And yeah, just kind of learn and look at other people and see kind of what they're doing and see if you're able to, tweak that or use that. and just find what works for you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for, doing what you do so we can talk about your journey and your success.
Mhm.
That's why we're able to talk about it, not because of anything that anybody else did, because of what you did. So thanks for doing that. And I look forward to a follow-up number 2 show if you'd be willing to come back in the future.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Sarah, we'll talk to you later. Okay. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right, my friends, you can find her at Financially Free over on TikTok. And there's 3 E's at the end of that free. Financially Free, and there's 3 frees. 3 E's in that free. Uh, my friends, it's good to be back. Again, thanks, Matt, for covering for me yesterday. I had a stomach flu that had me down and out for about 48 hours. It was not pretty, but I'm back and I'm better than ever. Down about 5 pounds or so. But I couldn't wait. I was kind of about 70, feeling 70 or 80% when I woke up this morning, but I just could not wait to come in and share in this common bond that we all have in common interest, which is entrepreneurship, online marketing, making money, and freedom. Specifically, starting out with financial freedom, just as Sarah's TikTok handle says. So go and follow her at Financially Free with 3 E's in the free. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow for another episode.